Hey, sixth graders. We are back today with a lesson that is 5-13, all about comparing costs. So our objective for learning today is to write and relate different cost equations to situations. So we're going to be making some tables and identifying companies that offer the lowest price for different numbers of items. So to kick it off, we are going to be looking at some different situations that have to do with companies selling friendship bracelets. And in this first case, we have company A. They charge $30 for 24 bracelets, plus a flat rate, which just means it doesn't matter how many bracelets you get, you have to spend $4 for shipping, no matter how many bracelets you get. Company B, they charge $13 for 10 bracelets, and they do not charge for shipping. And then company C charges $18 for 15 bracelets, plus they have a flat rate of $10 for any shipping costs. So what we're going to be doing is looking at those three different deals, companies A, B, and C, and trying to figure out which one has the best deal. So that's kind of where this comes into real life, is as you guys are getting older and starting to manage your own money and making your own purchases, it's important to find out what is the best deal and what you actually are willing to spend your money on. So this is a real life situation where this stuff does matter. So in our table here for number one, we're only going to be looking at company A's information. We'll look at company B and company C on our next page, but this table is all about company A, so keep that in mind. We are looking at for the number of bracelets. They tell us that you can get 24 bracelets, so they have a 24 here, and they're going to call that variable n. We're going to use that later at the bottom of our table when we try to make just an equation for all the information. But for right now, there's 24 bracelets, and that cost is $30. That's why they have a 30 here. They told us that information. The shipping cost, no matter how many you buy, is always $4. So what is the total cost for this company? Well, what they're doing is they're saying the cost of the bracelets plus the cost of the shipping, they're adding these together to get a total of $34. So in this case, we have $30 plus for the bracelets plus $4 in shipping. The total cost is $34. Okay. Well, that's for 24 bracelets. So we're going to try to break it down. Well, how much would it cost for just one bracelet? So one strategy to do this is to cut it in half. Well, if we had 24 bracelets for $30, how much would half of that cost? Well, the idea here is you would divide by 2. If 24 bracelets is the total, what if you had half of that? It would be 12 bracelets. Well, if $30 was 24 bracelets, what would be half of 30? If you're buying half the bracelets, your cost should also be half. Half of 30 is if you divide it by 2, you get 15. So it costs $15. So half the bracelets is half the price. But remember, shipping is always $4 in this company. So what would be the total cost? If you bought 12 bracelets, it would be $15 plus $4 in shipping, a total of $19. All right, so let's kind of get closer to, the goal is to figure out how much just one bracelet would cost. So let's cut it in half again. Instead of 12 bracelets, let's cut it in half and just buy 6 bracelets. Well, what would be the half of 15? Now that's a little bit trickier because 15 is an odd number, but I do know that if I can't do that in my head, I know a lot of you guys can, but if you cannot, you could just do simply 15 divided by 2 off to the side. 2 goes into 15 7 times. 7 times 2 is 14. Subtract and we get 1. And because I'm working with money, I would rather have a decimal answer here than a fraction. I know for a fraction, I could put my 1 as my numerator and then have my 2, which is my divisor, use that as my denominator and end up with 7.5. And I know 7.5 is the same as 7.5. Or I could just go ahead and put my decimal here because I'm working with money. So add a 0.0. We know if there's a decimal in the house, we raise it to the roof. And then I can go ahead and drop down my 0 here. So 2 goes into 10, 5 times. 5 times 2 is 10. Subtract and we get 0. We're going to zero this thing out. So 7.5 is the same is the same amount as $7.50. 7.5 is the same as 7.50. All right, so 12 bracelets was $15. Half of that would be 6 bracelets, and half of 15 is $7.50. or 7.5. But we still have that $4 shipping charge. So we're going to add $7.50 plus $4. Well, some of you guys can do that in your head. Some of you get a little bit messed up on your decimals. So I'm going to write it off to the side just to make sure we are all doing it correctly. 7.5, if you add 4 to that, it would not be okay to put your 4 right here. This would not be okay. And a lot of students do this because they think that, oh, I'm just going to line everything up to the right, and they end up with $7.54. Well, that can't be right. $7.50 plus $4, there's no way it's still this. That's because when you do decimals, you need to line up your whole numbers. Oh, that's my mistake. That should say $7.50, not $7.40. So my $4 is actually a whole number. It needs to be here over underneath the 7. So what it should say is $7.50 plus $4 like this, okay? And then we can get $11.50. Now, hopefully you could do that in your head. $7.50 plus $4. You could just do 7 plus 4 is 11 and then add your 50 cents, okay? All right, so 6 bracelets cost $11.50. Well, let's see what 2 bracelets would cost. This is a little different because now instead of cutting it in half, 2 is not the half of 6. So I need to figure out here, how did they get from 6 to 2? Well, I know if I want to get from 6 to 2, I need to divide by 3. 6 divided by 3 is 2. And I know in my work in the past with rate tables that whatever you do has to be consistent across your table. So if I did 6 divided by 3 to get to 2, then I would need to do $7.50 divided by 3 to get to my next answer, okay? So I'm going to do $7.50 divided by 3. Now, I cannot do that in my head, so I'm going to do 7.50 divided by 3 off to the side here to figure out the cost of just 2 bracelets. So if a decimal's in the house, we raise it to the roof. I do not have any decimals out of my divisor, so I don't need to do any sliding. But let's go ahead and divide. 3 goes into 7 2 times. 2 times 3 is 6. Subtract and we get 1. Bring down my 5. 3 goes into 15 5 times. 5 times 3 is 15. Subtract and we get 0. And we can drop that 0 down and zero this whole thing out. So now I'm at $2.50. Okay, so 6 bracelets cost $7.50. But if we divide that by 3, then 2 bracelets costs $2.50. But we still have that $4 shipping charge. So what's $2.50 plus 4 more dollars? Well, I can add my whole numbers. 2 plus 4 is 6, and then my 50 cents. Okay, so now we're going, well, how do we get to that next step? If you notice the pattern here, this first one, we did 24 divided by 2 was 12, 30 divided by 2 was 15. We did the same thing on the next step. We did 12 divided by 2 was 6, 15 divided by 2 was $7.50. Okay, now the reason we're not dividing the shipping cost is because it's the same every time. So it's always going to be 4 all the way down. Well, why do we switch to a divide by 3 here? Well, because the pattern changed. We're just trying to get it closer to 1 bracelet. So now we went from 6 bracelets to 2 bracelets. That was a dividing by 3 instead of finding the half. Well, now we get a divide by 2 again, and it looks like this one's already done for us. So right here, to get from 2 bracelets to 1 bracelet, how do we get from 2 to 1 with division? Divided by 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. And so how do we get from $2.50 to $1.25? We're going to divide by 2 again. $2.50, the half of that is $1.25, which should make sense if you're checking your work, because if you're going to work backwards, you would double it. $1.25 doubled would get you back to $2.50. All right. So how much is the total cost here? Now this looks a little bit different. You notice that they don't just have an answer here, they have kind of an equation. So let's try to figure out what this is. The total cost is $1.25 plus $4. Well, what's $1.25 plus $4? It should be $5.25. And that is what they have here. They just wrote it a different way. 1 times $1.25 is $1.25 plus 4 more dollars equals $5.25. So, what they're having us do here is kind of start looking at a pattern, because these boxes right here are shaded blue, and they could have just put $5.25 here, but instead they want to focus on an equation. That was the actual goal when we started this lesson, was to write and relate cost equations, not just crunch the numbers and do math of dividing by 2, dividing by 3. That's how we kind of did it at the beginning. But now they want you to move to an equation that could work for any number of bracelets. So the reason that we have an equation here is because we finally found the cost for one bracelet. This is good. We have one bracelet cost $1.25 plus $4 shipping. So what we have here is an equation that says we have one bracelet times $1.25, and then we're going to add $4 shipping. So in these blue sections here, we need to ask ourselves, well, how would that change? Well, right now, instead of the cost in dollars putting an answer, it says in the shaded cells, write expressions rather than the final values. So instead of putting the answer of how much money it costs, they're not asking for the amount of money anymore. They want to know the expression. So for the expression, we're going to say, well, one bracelet was $1.25. So 5 bracelets would be 5 times $1.25. Now we could calculate that, but they're not asking us to. They just want to know what would be the expression, not the final answer. So 5 bracelets, and each one of them costs $1.25 plus $4 shipping. What would be the total cost? Well, the total cost would be if we put these two things together. Our total cost would be 5 bracelets times $1.25 each, and we would add $4 shipping. Okay, now again, we could find that answer, but they're not asking us to find the answer. They're just saying write the expressions, not the final values. We did the final values up here, but now they just want the expression. So let's do it again. This time they want to know, hey, how much would it cost to buy 17 bracelets? Well, we would say 17 bracelets times $1.25 each plus $4 shipping. So what would our total cost be? It would be 17 bracelets times $1.25 each plus $4 shipping. So hopefully you're seeing that basically for this final box, we're just combining what we did in the first 2 boxes of our table. All right, how much would 33 bracelets cost? Well, you would have 33 bracelets times $1.25 each plus $4 for shipping. And if you combine those together, you'll see how much would your total cost be. Your total cost would be $33 times $1.25 each plus your $4 shipping. And now we get to this one that says N, and that's kind of what we referred to at the beginning of the table. The number of bracelets is N. So they want to know what expression could you write to show for any number of bracelets. This is kind of where we get to, if you think of area and perimeter, we say, if you want to find like the area of something, let's say area of a triangle. We say area equals 1/2 times base times height. Well, that's nice because you can apply that to any triangle. That's what this is saying. What is an expression that we can apply for any number of bracelets in company A? That way, somebody that wants to buy 500 bracelets or 235 bracelets or 2 bracelets, whatever the number is, it doesn't matter. They could just use this expression down here on this last row to find out how much it would cost. So it would cost N number of bracelets. So whatever number they want, however many bracelets they want, they can put in for N, times it by $1.25, because each one costs $1.25, and they would add $4 for shipping. So the total cost for anybody that wanted to buy any amount of bracelets would be N times $1.25. But the better way to write that in math is to put your coefficient first. So we'll kind of switch it up a little bit. We'll say $1.25 N, because if you guys remember, in algebra, the coefficient is just the number that comes before your variable. And in math, the more correct way to write that is to put it before the variable, not after it. And if they're right next to each other, we assume that we are multiplying. And then we add $4 shipping. So for this last box, it's $1.25 times N, so times however many bracelets you have, plus $4 shipping. So for number 2, they're asking us basically what went in this last cell here. Write an equation that describes the total cost, which would be T, the total, of purchasing N friendship bracelets from Company A. So the total cost, if you want to use Company A, would cost you $1.25 times N, times the number of bracelets you wanted, plus $4 in shipping. Okay, so then what do the numbers in your equation represent? Because this might look a little bit strange to you and your brain might not understand it yet. So it'd be good to kind of describe it in number 3. So the $1.25, we can say, is the cost in dollars per bracelet. And then we can say, because that's the $1.25, what do the other numbers mean? We also have a 4. So we can say 4 is also the cost in dollars, but it's not for each bracelet. You guys remember what the 4 is for? $4 is for the shipping. So I guess I shouldn't say in, I should say of shipping. Okay, so this equation for Company A, it's $1.25 per bracelet plus your $4 in shipping. Okay, all right, so let's turn the page and we're going to do a little bit with the other 2 companies. Scoot my page over here to fit it in the camera. All right, so for number 4, consider Company B. Write an equation for the total cost in dollars, which would be, the total would be T, in terms of the number of friendship bracelets, N. Show your work. Well, this seems like we just skipped a ton of information that would be really important to do. Because if we flip back, what they're asking us to do is for Company B, come up with the very end of this table. But they didn't have us do the rest of the work for the table. So how would we do that? Well, I'm going to at least write down some information from Company B because I don't like flipping back and forth pages. So I'm going to write down it's $13 for 10 bracelets and there's no shipping. So I'm going to write that, just a little note to myself. So Company B, it was $13 for 10 bracelets. And then also, there's no shipping. So to me, that's almost like a big +0 at the end. The other one was a +$4 for shipping. This is +0, which means we don't have to write anything because there's no shipping. That's kind of nice. So for here, it's nice that they don't have shipping, but we're going to see how much does each bracelet cost. Okay, so for this one, how could we get how much each bracelet costs without doing all the work of the rest of the table? Well, I'm going to flip back one more time to show you guys how we could have gotten $1.25 without filling out this whole table, okay? When we were looking at Company A, it said it's $30 for 24 bracelets, okay? And one thing we could have done is said, instead of doing, okay, well, it's $30 for 24, that means it's $15 for 12 bracelets, $7.50 for 6. Like, that was a lot of work to figure out each individual one. We could have just gotten down to the unit rate. Remember, the unit rate means how much does one cost if we just divided the 30 and the 24. So we could have just done divide $30 by 24 bracelets. That would have looked like this. $30 divided by 24 bracelets because you want to share that $30 with all 24 bracelets. And so if we did that, hopefully if we get this answer, it'll be $1.25. And we can see how we can get there faster. 24 goes into 30 one time. 1 times 24 is 24. Subtract and we get 6. I'm working with money, so I'm going to add a decimal here. I'm going to do a couple because I know money always has 2 decimals. If a decimal's in the house, raise it to the roof. Okay, drop down my 0. 24 goes into 60. Well, I know double 24 is 48. I think that's all I can fit in. So if I double it, I get 48. And I subtract. I could do borrowing here to subtract, or I can do it in my head and I get 12. And then drop down my 0. How many 24s go into 120? Well, I'm going to guess 5 because I know that my answer is supposed to be $1.25. So let's check. 24 times 5. I know some of you like to do it the way I show it in class and just work tiny right here. 5 times 4 is 20, and then put a tiny little 2. 5 times 2 is 10, and 2 more is 12. We can zero it out. Some of you would prefer to do this off to the side, which is also okay. 24 times 5, and you get 120 also. And yeah, we did get $1.25. So if you want to find the unit rate of something, you can take your money and divide it by the number of items you have. So if we apply that concept, we could skip this whole table work and just get down to the unit rate. We're going to do that right here. So for company B on the next page, it asks us for the unit rate. I don't think it uses the language unit rate. No, it does not. But that's essentially what they're asking us to do. So it's $13 for 10 bracelets. So if we can apply that same logic, in company A, it was $30 for 24 bracelets. So we did 30 divided by 24. Company B, we should be able to do that same thing and do 13 divided by 10. Okay, because you're saying it's $13, share it with those 10 bracelets to figure out how much just one bracelet would cost. So I'm going to do that work over here. So I'm going to say it's $13 for 10 bracelets. So 13 divided by 10. Okay, 10 goes into 13 one time. 1 times 10 is 10. Subtract and we get 3. Put a couple decimals out here to show that I'm working with money. And I can drop down my 0. 30 goes into 10 3 times. Or sorry, 10 goes into 30 3 times. 3 times 10 is 30. Subtract and we get 0. Drop down my other 0. 10 goes into 0 no times. 0 times 10 is 0, and we zero it out. If my decimal's in the house, I raise it to the roof right there. So what did this help me find? This helped me determine that one bracelet is $1.30. Okay, on the previous example for company A, we found out that one bracelet was $1.25. So in this example, one bracelet is $1.30. It's a little bit more expensive. The other one was $1.25 for a bracelet. Company B is $1.30 for a bracelet, but they don't have shipping. And the other one, you had to add $4 for every single one you wanted. So let's get down to what would the equation be. So for any bracelet, any number of bracelets you wanted to buy for company B, you're going to take your $1.30, because each one costs $1.30, and multiply it by N. That's the number of bracelets that you want. And then you're going to add your shipping. Well, we don't have shipping. So you could put a +0 on there, or you could just say $1.30 times N, and you don't even have to put the +0 if you don't want to, because +0 is the same as just writing nothing. Okay, so for this company, the equation is a little more simple. It's just T equals $1.30 N. It's $1.30 times every bracelet that you want. Whereas our last equation, it was T equals $1.25 times the number of bracelets you wanted, but you had to add that $4 in shipping. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and do our third company. Caleb, not right now, buddy. Go fix it. So for our third company, we have, for company C, $18 for 15 bracelets. And there's a flat rate of $10 for shipping. So I'm going to write that down. $18 for 15 bracelets. And they do have shipping. It's $10. All right. So I'm going to recommend to find our equation, because they're asking for company C to do the same thing we did for company B, is to find our equation. And we need to determine our unit rate in order to do that. So for our unit rate, we're going to take our cost and divide it by the number of bracelets. The reason your cost comes first, we're going to do 18 first and then divide it by 15, is because you're saying I'm spending $18 and I'm sharing it with 15 bracelets. And if I share my $18 with 15 bracelets, how much is the cost of each bracelet? That's why it's 18 divided by 15 instead of 15 divided by 18. Okay, now this right here turns into this math problem. 18 goes on the inside, our dividend, and then 15 goes on the outside, our divisor. All right, and I know I'm gonna be working with money, so I'll put a decimal point 00 on the end. If I wanna start out with my decimals in the house, raise it to the roof, I can, or I can do that at the end, whatever is your preference. All right, 15 goes into 18 one time. 1 times 15 is 15. Subtract and we get 3. Bring down my 0. 15 goes into 30, a nice even 2 times. 2 times 15 is 30. And we can bring down my 0 and 0 this thing out. Ooh, these are the cheapest bracelets for the unit rate. These bracelets, one bracelet is $1.20. So in company A, the bracelets were $1.25. Company B, they were $1.30. These ones are only $1.20, but they get you in the shipping. Guys, man, it's $10 for shipping. You're adding a ton more money in your shipping. So for company C, we can say it's $1.20 times N, because it's $1.20 for every bracelet that you buy, plus there is a shipping charge. On company B, there was no shipping. It was a +0. But on this company C, there is a shipping charge. It's $10. So we have our equations now. And what we're going to do is use that information to fill out our last table. Our last table on the bottom here, it says the first row, write your equations from exercises 2, 4, and 5. And they're just talking about what are the equations or the expressions for companies A, B, and C, which is going to go right here. So for company A, it was $1.25 N plus 4. So each one cost $1.25. We had plus $4 in shipping. Okay. Company B, it was $1.30 N, and there was no shipping, so we just leave it. And then on company C, it was $1.20 N. So those are the cheapest bracelets. They only cost $1.20 each, but there's $10 in shipping. Okay, so we are going to complete the table to find the cost of buying different quantities of bracelets from each company. So now we have a little bit of calculations to make. We need to determine how much it would cost for each company if we want to buy 25 bracelets, 100 bracelets, 150 bracelets, or 250 bracelets, okay? And depending on how many bracelets we want to buy, in this last column, we want to see which company has the best deal, company A or company B or company C. Because depending on how many bracelets you buy, there's going to be different answers for each one. So this is going to be quite a bit of work. So what I'm going to do is, this is why my equation or my expression is helpful, because I can just plug in my number of bracelets, which is N, into that number right there, which is N. And that'll give me my answer. So what I'm going to do is for my company A, let's see, I kind of did that one in pink. Circle that one in pink. My company B, I guess I worked in 3 colors there, but maybe we'll do purple. And then company C, all my math will be in teal. It'll be a little bit easier for you guys to follow my work, because it's going to be a lot of number crunching. Okay, so for company A, for 25 bracelets, we get to do 1.25 times N. So we're going to say times N, which is 25. And then when we get that calculation, we're going to add 4 when we're done. So 5 times 5 is 25. 5 times 2 is 10. 2 more is 12. 5 times 1 is 5. 1 more is 6. put my placeholder 0. 2 times 5 is 10. 2 times 2 is 4. 1 more is 5. 2 times 1 is 2. I'm writing really small. This is going to be a lot of math. Okay. 5, 2, 11, and 3. And my decimal moves 2 places. So 1, 2, 31.25. Okay, now 31.25, I need to remember to add 4 to that. So 31.25, if I add 4, remember just like our first example back here, we said you cannot just add 4 to the end. You have to add it to where the whole numbers are, which come before the decimal place. So 31.25, we're not going to put a 4 over here on the right. It's actually right here. 4 is in the ones place, which is right underneath this 1. It's like saying $4, 4.00. And that becomes 35.25. So all that work was just for this one box right here. 35.25. So if you wanted to buy 25 bracelets from company A, it would cost you $35.25. For company B, let's see how much it would cost. $1.30 times N. So I'm going to do $1.30 times N, which is times 25. 5 times 0 is 0. 5 times 3 is 15. 5 times 1 is 5, plus 1 more is 6. Put my 0 placeholder. 2 times 0 is 0. 2 times 3 is 6. 2 times 1 is 2. And we will add this up. And we get our decimal place is 2 over, there we go. We get $32.50. This time we do not need to add anything because there's no shipping. This is just a simple answer, $32.50. Then we'll do our last company. I'll do that in teal here. Company C, $1.20. And if we have times N number of bracelets, well, if our N is 25, we're going to times it by 25. And then when we're done, we will add that plus 10. So let's do $1.20 times 25 first. So 5 times 0 is 0. 5 times 2 is 10. 5 times 1 is 5, plus 1 more is 6. Put our placeholder down. 2 times 0 is 0. 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times 1 is 2. Add these together, and it looks like we end up with a flat $30. So if we have $30, we still need to add $10 in shipping. And again, you do not just put 10 over here underneath your zeros. That would be like adding 10 cents. That's cheap shipping. They're saying $10, which is looking like this when you're working with money. So it's actually going to cost $40. Because it was $30 to buy 25 bracelets, and then $10 extra would be $40 total. So who had the lowest total cost? Company A, $35.25. Company B, $32.50. And Company C is $40. Who had the lowest cost? Company B. Maybe I should have written that in a different color so it doesn't look like teal like Company C one. Company B was the cheapest one. All right. Now, this video is already getting kind of lengthy, and you guys could see that was quite a bit of calculations for just one row. If we were in class right now and you guys had your workbooks with you, this is where I would say, okay, now you go and work on your own or work with a partner, and you finish filling out this table on your own. But I'm not going to do all those calculations with you on the video because I feel like at this point you should understand the process. And since you don't have your workbooks with you at home, I'm not going to give you time to do that. Instead, I'm just going to show you what the answers are. So I've already done the work before this video. Instead of showing you all the math, I'm just going to put in the answers here. So for 100 bracelets, Company A would cost $129. If you did $1.25 times 100 and then added 4 more, you'd get $129. Company B, $1.30 times 100 would be $130. You're not adding any shipping. Oh, I forgot to use purple. Oh well. And then, here, this should be purple. Company C is going to be, ooh, it actually is $130 also. Now, how could that be possible? How could you end up with the same price here? It's because this one happened to be $120. You guys can see $1.20 times 100 bracelets would be $120, but there's $10 shipping. That's how they end up being equal. So in this situation, which company had the best deal? Company A. They were very similar though, weren't they? They were very close to the same answers. So in this situation, company A would be the best deal. So if you're just buying a few bracelets, go with company B. If you're buying 100 bracelets, go with company A. Now, what about the last two? If you want to buy 150 bracelets, if you did the math, which I already did, I'm just not going to show you guys, you would get $191.50 for company A. You would get $195 for company B. And you would get $190 for company C. Who has the best deal now? Company C. Because company C is cheaper than the other ones. And in our last situation, if you were buying 250 bracelets, who would have the best deal? We have $316.50. Company B would be $325. And company C would be $310. Who has the best deal? Which one is the cheapest? Company C. So what it's looking like is if you are going to buy lots and lots and lots and lots of bracelets, pretty much anything over 100 bracelets, company C is going to end up being your best deal every single time. Even though company C has $10 shipping, which seems expensive, it has the cheapest bracelets, so it's going to be our best deal. But if you're going to buy fewer than 100 bracelets, then it just depends which one's going to be better. A better deal is, do you want shipping or do you not want shipping? Depends on how many bracelets you are going to buy. So that is kind of the end of this lesson here. We are looking at finding the unit rate for something, and if you're adding in shipping prices, how much would things cost? So hopefully you felt like you learned something. It was a review on how to find the unit rate, and also if you are turning it into an equation or an expression that you could plug in other numbers into later, you can see how that could be important, because instead of doing tons and tons of math on a huge table like we did on number 1, you could just find the unit rate, make an expression, and then you can calculate any number of bracelets that you want to buy. And as you can see, comparing companies makes a difference because it can end up saving you a lot of money if you go with the right price. So that's it. I will post the homework for this one, and if you guys have any questions, let me know. Thanks.